Today is the 1st of January, a new year and a fresh start for the financial markets. And with Bitcoin's massive success last year, the big question on people's mind right now is, has Bitcoin already topped or are we just getting started? In this video today, I'm going to dive into some fascinating data and charts, which will unveil what 2025 has in store for Bitcoin. Are we going to see new all-time highs very soon? Or is it now time to take profit and to cash out on some of your positions while the price of Bitcoin is still high? So stick around until the end of the video, because what we will uncover might just surprise you. And if you enjoy watching videos like this one, and if you're excited about all the money-making opportunities in the crypto market right now, then make sure to smash the like button. And if you haven't done so yet, also make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be posting regular videos just like this one to make sure that you have an advantage as a crypto investor. My goal is to help as many of you as possible to achieve your goals in this bull market cycle. And if not this bull market cycle, then the next bull market cycle, I will be around. I will be by your side in the trenches, helping you to make sure that you cross that finish line. Now, let's dive in. So, will Bitcoin go parabolic in 2025? Let's find out. So, right now, we are at the end. Basically, we just finished 2024. And we saw an insane run up. I believe, Bitcoin ended with somewhere around 120, 130% gains in the last year alone. And if we quickly take some time to reflect on all the stuff that happened in 2024, there's so much. We had the Bitcoin spot ETFs that were approved. We had MicroStrategy announcing their 21-21 plan, basically meaning that they're going to buy $42 billion worth of Bitcoin, which they financed 50% through issuing new stock and 50% by issuing convertible bonds. So MicroStrategy became the role model for companies that adopted a Bitcoin strategic reserve strategy. Afterwards, you saw companies like Semler Scientific or Metaplanet and a bunch of other companies, even publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies, that were going out onto the debt market, raising a ton of money in order to buy Bitcoin. And now we're seeing all of these massive institutions and companies, publicly traded companies, getting involved into in the Bitcoin market. And every bull market cycle, they say this cycle is going to be different. But what you need to understand is that in the past 15 years, Bitcoin went from a very niche technology, which was used by academics, by coders, by cryptographers, just a small group of people, and unfortunately also criminals, to now, 15 years later, becoming a more mature technology, which is embraced by banks, governments, institutions, and even countries. And, these players don't have a few $100s that they're investing in. No, they invest with hundreds of millions, billions, potentially even trillions. So this cycle is indeed different because we're seeing a new breed of market participant enter, the institutional investor. And so far we have seen a nice run up. And then the question now is, are we going to pump or are we going to dump? Are we going to enter a bear market again, and we need to wait another 3-4 years in order to see a new all-time high? Well, let's compare where we are today with previous bull markets. So here I have copied the charts of the 2017 bull market and the 2021 bull market. So what you see here in this chart is that in 2017, we basically saw a massive blow-off top. What do we mean? That suddenly, out of nothing, the price of Bitcoin starts to shoot up exponentially and very rapidly in just a short period of time. And this triggers a compounding effect of FOMO, fear of missing out, amongst everyone. So here is where you'll see your aunt, your neighbor, your hairdresser all suddenly talking about Bitcoin, putting all their life savings into Bitcoin, selling their house to buy up Bitcoin, and all of those kind of things. And then we reached a point where the price of Bitcoin was no longer connected to any of its fundamentals. It was so completely decoupled, it was overly bought, and then we saw a massive correction down, and that started basically another bear market. Now, in 2021, everyone expected another blow off top like in 2017. So that didn't happen. The market went up very much in a very short period of time. And then suddenly we saw a correction. People thought the bull market was over. It was a blow off top, just like 2017. But if you would have sold at this little dip, or it's not a little dip, it was still from 60K down to 35K more or less. If you would have sold then because you thought it was going to go lower, then you would have missed out on the second top. So in 2021, the previous cycle, we saw a double top pattern. So this was not what people expected because they thought they would see another blow off top like 2017. The conclusion of this is that whatever you expect the Bitcoin bull market to be or to become, it will probably be something different. Because the crypto market, and especially Bitcoin, has the tendency that whenever everyone expects something, it oftentimes does the exact opposite. You know, in the financial markets, the market often searches for the point of maximum pain. What is the point of maximum pain? Well, for example, here, the market will correct down so much that you would think that the bull market is over. So what do people do? They sell because they're afraid it's going to go lower, and then it starts to go up again. And what people then do is they buy at a much higher price than they sold their Bitcoin. So basically, you know, paying a big premium on top of what they already had, and then the market corrects down. So then they panic sell again, and they lose. They basically make a big fat loss. They fell for it. They basically experience max pain. So what then happens is these people that lose money in these bull market cycles, they will call Bitcoin a scam. They will call it magical internet money with no intrinsic value. It's just pure speculation. That's not true. It's not pure speculation. There is a lot to understand and to uncover when you really do your research. And I know that many of you are lazy. You don't like to do your own research. That's why you follow channels like mine, because I do the research and I break it down into easy to understand and digestible bits and pieces. So let's go to the basics. All assets in the world move in cycles. No matter if you're investing in stocks, bonds, real estate, watches, crypto, everything moves in cycles. And this cheat sheet, we call it the Wall Street cheat sheet, shows the psychology or the anatomy of a typical market cycle of an asset. And generally we tend to go from a position, from a stage in the market where there's disbelief. So people believe that, you know, this rally will never work out. We're not going to go up. Basically, people think the asset, in this case, maybe Bitcoin, is never going to recover from this. It's done. We're going to go to zero. And then there's a small pump in the price of that asset because the whales understand that the best time to buy is at the bottom of the bear market. So they buy into the asset at a really cheap price, and then the market starts to go up because they're accumulating. Then some investors which are still believing in the asset will also start to see, oh wait, this rally is actually, you know, continuing. It is building up some momentum. Let me also buy back into the asset. Let me accumulate more. And then when this happens over a certain period of time, it almost looks like what we've experienced in this market. So in the last year with Bitcoin, we saw this slow and gradual increase. We went up almost 120, 130%. It looks a bit like this. So then we go into a phase of optimism. So again, people start to wake up. They see like, hey, yeah, there's some money to be made in this market. And then then the next phase of investors join the market, and the market starts to pump and go up. And that's where you see stuff like this. So this is in the early phases of the bull market. Again, we also saw it over here, where the market just starts to go up at a much faster rate than before. And this triggers FOMO, fear of missing out. Then we approach a period of thrill. So people get so excited and hyped about the prices that have been going up forever. And then we people tend to have recency bias. So we believe that because something has been happening over the past few weeks and months, it will continue to happen forever. So these people that buy into the market over here in the trill phase believe that the market will only go up from there, and that, you know, if they're not invested into the market at that point, they will miss out on so many gains. Then it reaches a point where the valuation of the asset is no longer correlated to the reality, and it needs a correction. So because people have been buying up the dip, so here you see small dips along the way up, you have this herd mentality. Guys, we need to buy up the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, let's buy the dip. And at one point, the dip doesn't go up anymore. The dip keeps on dipping, and the dip dips more. And then the dip dips, and the dippity dip. That's the meme in the crypto space, you know, the dip that keeps on dipping. That means you're entering the bear market. So yeah, and then when you're entering the bear market, you will see that, you know, people that don't really understand the asset, don't understand the long-term potential, they will just sell their positions because they're afraid that it's going to go to zero. So they're panicking, they're frustrated, they're in loss, they're in anger, they're resentful because, you know, yeah, why did I invest? Why did I listen to my friends? Why did I listen to this YouTuber? And then it reaches a point where for a while people just have PTSD. They are traumatized by, you know, the massive correction or the massive market crash, and they don't longer want to hold this asset or, you know, have anything to do with it until the cycle repeats again, and the market starts to go up. Then the same people that sold at the bottom will again buy in close to the top. So again, the market creates these scenarios where a lot of people experience max pain, selling at the bottom, buying at the top, selling at the bottom, buying at the top. And I do believe everyone needs to experience this one time before they really understand how the market works, because the market is super emotional. It's like a roller coaster. If you don't understand this roller coaster or the fundamentals driving this roller coaster, it can really drive you crazy. It can really cause you to make very terrible decisions when instead you should have done the exact opposite. So this is the framework of a market cycle. Of course, this is the blueprint, but there are also variations. You know, you can have one massive blow off top, or you can have some kind of double top pattern. And I wouldn't be surprised if this bull market cycle, we're going to see, again, a different top formation than we've seen in the previous cycles. Now, one thing that I do know, if I look at the data, is that every time we see a Bitcoin halving event, we generally tend to see that the price of Bitcoin goes up quite a lot. Why? Because every Bitcoin halving event, the new supply hitting the market gets halved, meaning that Bitcoin becomes more scarce. And with increasing demand, while something becomes more scarce, generally we see a supply shock which drives up the price of Bitcoin. So when we look at the bottom of the 2011, at the bottom of 2011 till the top somewhere around 2014, we saw an 11,645% increase. If we look at the bottom around 2014, then the top in 2017, we saw an increase of 7,382%. Now, when we look at the bottom in 2018 until the top in 2021, it was almost a 2,000% increase, which are massive gains, especially if you compare it to traditional markets like the stock market, the bond market, real estate. So in my opinion, there's two conclusions that you can extract from this little chart over here. Conclusion number one is when you zoom out, that's a well-known saying in the crypto space, when in doubt, zoom out. So when you're zooming out, you see that even though on the short term prices go up and down, the long-term trend tends to be up. And the second conclusion that I can draw is that every market cycle, the returns seem to decrease. That's what we call the law of diminishing return. So as an asset matures, we see that the gains are slowly becoming a little bit less. Why is that? Well, you can compare this to Amazon. So Bitcoin and Amazon actually are equally volatile, at least Amazon 20 years ago, let's say 20 years ago. Amazon in its early days was very volatile, just like Bitcoin is right now. But nowadays, Amazon stock is not that volatile anymore. Why? Because people understand Amazon stock much better. They know Jeff Bezos, they followed his company, they understand it, they can touch it, feel it. You know, there's so much content out there, so they understand it. So for any dip in the price of Amazon, there are more buyers willing to buy up the dip. So the dip doesn't go that deep anymore. Unless there's a massive like 2008 or COVID style market crash, then you see these flash crashes in the market. So, okay, yeah, this is what we've been seeing. This is what we see when we compare the gains to the halvings. Now, another chart that's interesting to always keep monitoring is the Bitcoin rainbow price chart. What does the Bitcoin rainbow price chart do? Well, the black line that you see here, that's the price of Bitcoin. And the colored lines that you see represent different levels of fear and greed in the market. Probably by now, you know this famous saying of Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Now, the perfect tool to understand when people are greedy and fearful is this Bitcoin rainbow chart. So the purple color in this chart basically means that Bitcoin is super cheap because everyone is fearful, people are panicking, they're selling it at a very big loss, and they don't want anything to do with Bitcoin anymore. Then the red and orange zones in this chart basically mean that people are very greedy. There's a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. So the market is overbought. Now, when we look at where Bitcoin is currently in this cycle, it shows that we're still in accumulation phase. Yes, even though Bitcoin is at almost 100K, it's still cheap according to this market, because according to this chart, because the market sentiment is not that greedy yet. In fact, we are like below the yellow line, so I would say below the average, below the middle. And that's also what I'm experiencing. I don't yet feel that the crypto market is super greedy. So what are some signs that we are entering very greedy territory? Now, in addition to this chart, let's say that you don't have this chart, but you just need to base it based on your real life experiences. Well, in the previous bull market cycle, we saw advertisements like this. Hey, did you miss Dogecoin? Then get Floki at 𝗗𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗺𝗏.com. You saw these billboards next to highways, in the metro, on buses. You saw them everywhere. And the whole point, if you read between the lines, the whole message that these billboards are conveying and why they work so well is, hey, the market has pumped so much. And you might think right now that you missed the boat, but you didn't miss the boat. There's a cheaper alternative, which if the market will keep on pumping, you're going to make a lot of money. And people that are in this very greedy mindset, they like to find these sort of cheaper knockoff alternatives and get in early. Well, trust me, when you see billboards like this, you're not getting in early. You are exit liquidity, what we call. You're investing late into something because the early movers have already cashed out. They've already made their big money, and you're just investing in the hype, in the late stages of the hype. So whenever I'm seeing billboards and advertisements like this, I know that we are close to this FOMO zone, meaning that it's probably time to take some money off the table. Now, this chart that I want to show you shows the Bitcoin halvings and Christmas. So Christmas was not that long ago. So the Bitcoin halvings are these orange dotted lines, and the white dotted line is Christmas. So this was in 2013. So you saw after the Bitcoin halving, then Christmas came, and then we saw a massive run up. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I have no other words other than beautiful. I hope we're going to experience exactly the same. So here in 2016, again, we saw the Bitcoin halving. Not much later, we saw Christmas, and then afterwards we saw a massive rally up. 2021, again, we saw a Bitcoin halving. After the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin pumped, and we saw Bitcoin, and then it went absolutely crazy face melting pump up. And now we are, we saw the 2024 halving, which happened in April. Then towards Christmas, the market pumped, also because the news came out that Donald Trump was elected, which also created a lot of hype in the crypto market. And now we are approaching the days and weeks, the months after Christmas, which, if history repeats again, and history doesn't always exactly repeat, because no cycle is exactly the same as the previous cycle. That's what I wanted to drive home by showing you guys these illustrations. But oftentimes history rhymes. So even though it's not exactly the same pattern, usually there's a lot of similarity. So I would expect Bitcoin to start pumping as we enter this Q1. Now again, history doesn't always repeat, but it for sure rhymes. So if we analyze these previous cycles, so this is Bitcoin, the Bitcoin USD chart, analyzed by Rect Capital, which is an X account. So we see that generally when, you see these patterns. So every time this black line, so this horizontal support, so here it was the $1,100 line. That's basically the previous top. So whenever we see this previous top break, then we see that a exponential rally starts to begin. Now, what you need to understand is that this vertical axis is a logarithmic axis, meaning that we go from 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000 in very small increments. So this box might look very small, but it's because the vertical axis makes these very big jumps. So here, somewhere over here could be 200K, 300K, 400K, 500K within this green box. So don't underestimate the power of Bitcoin or the potential of Bitcoin. So from this chart and basically the way that I'm talking about all of this, you can kind of conclude that I still believe there's a lot more room for Bitcoin to grow, so that we have definitely not topped out yet. Also, when we look at this chart, so this chart shows the patterns, so the price action of Bitcoin in the previous market cycles. So the blue line is the market cycle of 2014, 2017, from the bottom at $176. So the blue line, it went up quite a lot, percentage wise. Then the yellow line is the previous bull market cycle from 2018 to 2021. So here you see that the orange line, so the yellow line, if we follow the yellow line, it also went up quite a lot. Now this black line, that's the current market cycle that we're in. And the interesting thing about this chart, it puts it into perspective. Let's say that we would follow the same pattern as the 2014-2017 cycle, then we would reach around $1 million Bitcoin this market cycle. If we would follow the same pattern as the yellow line, then it would place Bitcoin around 250K, 300K this bull market cycle. Again, not all market cycles follow exactly the same patterns, but we're just trying to find as much proof and evidence of whether Bitcoin is still going to pump, whether we still have a lot more room to grow, and how high Bitcoin can then go from there onwards. Now another chart to show you, to put all of this into perspective. So here you see the previous cycles, 2011, 2012, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17. Basically, what this chart is showing, it's subdividing the 4-year Bitcoin cycle into sub-cycles. So we have a bear market where the price of Bitcoin tends to go down. We have a pre-bull market when basically Bitcoin bottoms out and then goes sideways for a while. Then we have the first bull market where, we see a nice price appreciation. And then we have the second bull market where we really see the big price action happening in the Bitcoin market. And according to this X account, 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹𝗶𝗺, we are at this exact moment right now, meaning that we are about to enter the second bull phase where the biggest gains are about to be made. And all of that overlaps with very big world events like the inauguration of President Trump in January, the pro-crypto government that people are expecting them to install. The crypto industry has donated many millions to political action committees, which are exerting a lot of influence to get the right people in office, which can push a pro-crypto agenda. And people are very bullish about 2025 when it comes to crypto. So I definitely expect that we have a lot more room to grow. Now, let's look at a traditional model that we crypto investors regularly look at, which is the Bitcoin stock to flow model. So what is the Bitcoin stock to flow model? It's a mathematical model created by Plan B, which is a Dutch institutional investor. And basically what he did, he was looking at the stock and the flow of Bitcoin. What is the stock? The stock is the available supply of Bitcoin, which is already mined. And the flow is a new supply of Bitcoin, which hits the market, which is basically produced by Bitcoin miners. And he made this model, which predicted the price of Bitcoin in the previous market cycles. So up till the previous market cycle, so the 2021, 2022 cycle, basically, he was quite accurate in giving his estimates or predicting how high Bitcoin could go. I believe that the previous cycle ended too early by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, also fiscal tightening. But if you believe that the stock to flow model still holds true, then we could actually see $1 million Bitcoin this bull market cycle. So that's very interesting. Although some people are skeptical within the crypto space if this model still holds true. So they came up with a different model, the Bitcoin power law model. And basically what this model did is it inserted many different data points of Bitcoin into this model and tried to put different weights on different variables, which also influence each other. And they created this predictive model called the Bitcoin power law model. And here you see a very special version of this power law model, which is the fair value model. And the fair value model is basically the 50% quantile regression. So the 50% quantile regression is basically the fair value of Bitcoin. And what you see is that generally the price of Bitcoin tends to oscillate above and below this red line. So going into overbought and oversold territory, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold. And right now we are at exactly the fair value of Bitcoin according to this model, and we just came out of a period where it was oversold, so it was below its fair value. And if this pattern repeats itself, it means that now we're going to see a big pump up, because we're then now probably going to go into overbought territory where we're going to go above the fair value of Bitcoin, because the market gets hyped up, people experience FOMO, fear of missing out, and they're willing to buy Bitcoin above its fair value. Now here's a different representation of the Bitcoin power law model. It shows the 99.9 quantile regression and the 0.01 quantile regression. Basically, in different words, it's sort of the red line is the top that this model is predicting for Bitcoin, and the blue line is the bottom support that it's kind of predicting. So according to this model, it predicts that Bitcoin will go somewhere around 300K, 340K in this bull market cycle. So that could be very interesting, knowing that we still have so much more room for Bitcoin to go up in value according to this Bitcoin power law model. And now you might think 300K Bitcoin, that's still a 3x from here. Well, realize that now we are experiencing a new breed of players in the market. BlackRock is buying up Bitcoin by the thousands. They already own, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy owns 430,000 Bitcoin. These massive whales keep on buying more. They're borrowing money on the debt market in order to acquire billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. So I don't even think this is out of the ordinary for Bitcoin to go up 3x from here. Of course, I like to be more conservative than overly optimistic. I think it's important to take profits along the way, but I do think it is a possible scenario. I'm not saying it will happen, but it is possible if you understand all of the buying power, all of the buying pressure that's in the market right now. So this is another interesting perspective that I like to look at. So Bitcoin went up from, what this chart does, it compares the ratio of the tops of the cycles to the previous top. So from the 2013 top at $1,150 to the top in 2017, it went up 15.3x. So from the previous top at 17.6K in 2017 till the top in 2022, it went up 3.6x. Now you might think, all right, maybe the law of diminishing returns, Bitcoin is becoming more mature, so we're going to see less high tops and less low bottoms. So maybe instead of a 3.6x, we're going to see a 2.5x. So if we take 64K and we do it times 2.5x, it will put us somewhere around $150,000 Bitcoin. Let's say that it's not going to do a 2.5x, but a 2x, then we might see a 120, 130K Bitcoin. So still meaning that we can go higher from here. Again, this is pure speculation. You don't know if we're actually going to see a lower multiple. Maybe we're even going to see a higher multiple than 3.6x, because again, there's some theories that argue that the previous bull market ended too early. Also, according to Plan B, his stock to flow model, we didn't go as high as he expected. That might have been because of a black swan situation where, the Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out. Maybe we're going to see a 5x, and that will put us somewhere around, 300, 400K. Or maybe we're going to see a 4x. We don't know. But still, it's interesting to put it into this perspective of, the ratios between different tops in the previous bull market cycles. Now, a little word of caution over here. What you've probably concluded from everything that I've shared is that I'm very bullish about 2025. I believe there's so much potential for Bitcoin, especially with all of the pro-crypto government stuff happening in the US. President Trump, which also sees it as his personal legacy to pump Bitcoin. He went to the 2024 Bitcoin industry conference. So there's a lot at stake for him. He wants to keep his reputation high. So I think a lot is going to happen. There's a lot more room for growth. But keep in mind, the road to the top is not going to be one straight line, in contrary to what some of you might think. Along the way, we're going to experience massive corrections down, 30, 40% corrections. The corrections are going to be so deep that you are going to panic and think that the bear market has started. So trust me, it's going to be one rough ride. Buckle up. This is going to be the period where your conviction is going to be tested. And that's why I think it's important to create videos like this one, even though I don't have a glass ball and I cannot look into the future and tell you exactly how high Bitcoin can go. I can show you different perspectives so that you can make your own hypothesis about what will happen next. Because if you don't have something that you believe, then you're probably going to panic sell at the next possible market correction and you're going to miss out on a lot of gains along the way. And if making money with crypto would be so easy, then everyone would be a millionaire right now. But what I see happening is that every crypto bull market, 99% of people lose money because they don't understand what the hell is going on, why the market is going up, why the market is going down. So that's why, again, it's important to stay well informed. And also why I really like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the project within the crypto space that has the longest track record out of all of the other crypto projects. So you can look back at historic data to get a sense of what might happen in the next cycle. So if we go really down to the basics, the fundamentals, or some people call it first principles reasoning. So Elon Musk is known for a concept called first principle thinking. It comes down to breaking complex topics or complex problems into the most simple, basic, and fundamental understandings that we have. And what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is an asset. The price of Bitcoin is determined by supply and demand. Demand keeps on becoming more scarce because large institutions are buying up the available supply in the open market. New supply is becoming more scarce because, we have these Bitcoin halving events that happen every 4 years. At the same time, there's a lot of buying pressure. Institutions are getting into the market, buying up Bitcoin by the thousands. So generally that means that the price of an asset tends to go up. And that's also why we saw a big increase in the price of Bitcoin in 2024. And I expect it to increase or continue to increase in 2025. Now, one interesting signal which I also see is that the reserves on exchanges is also dropping. So why is this important? Well, big whales like BlackRock or MicroStrategy, they don't buy Bitcoin on the open market. Why? If you're doing a multi-billion-dollar purchase of Bitcoin, then you are basically cannibalizing yourself, because when you're buying up so much Bitcoin on the open market, you're driving up the price of Bitcoin. So what is the solution? OTC desks. OTC stands for over the counter, and it basically means that instead of buying on an exchange, you buy directly from an exchange like Coinbase, Kraken. So basically BlackRock says, hey, I want to buy 1,000 Bitcoin. Binance says, sure, this is the price. BlackRock wires the money, and Binance sends the Bitcoin straight to their wallet. So this all happens behind the scenes, and it doesn't really affect the market price. But what's happening is that these reserves are slowly dropping, meaning that at one point these institutions will be forced to do their billion-dollar buys on the open market, driving the price of Bitcoin up. I kind of compare this to a bidding war at an auction. And imagine that you're in a room full of super wealthy people that have very big budgets and are willing to overbid each other in order to acquire that Bitcoin, like people do at, for example, auctions for Picassos or Van Goghs or Salvador Dali's, So I want to wrap this video up by sharing a few price predictions of some very well-known and respected entrepreneurs, investors, thought leaders in the space. One of them is by 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗶𝗺𝗃, which is Arthur Hayes, his Instagram handle. Arthur Hayes, in case you don't know him, he's the founder of BitMEX. And BitMEX was one of the OG crypto exchanges. So he has gone through many different market cycles, and he's very involved in the crypto ecosystem. And he expects that Bitcoin can go all the way up to $1 million per Bitcoin in this bull market cycle. And that would align it with Plan B's stock to flow model, which also predicts around $1 million Bitcoin. Then we have people like 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹𝗶𝗺𝗿, which is a famous venture capitalist, early investor in Facebook and many other tech companies. And he expects that Bitcoin will go somewhere between 500K and 1.1 million in this bull market cycle. Then we have Plan B. He gives a very wide range. Bitcoin can go somewhere between 250K and 1 million this bull market cycle. Most likely somewhere in the middle. So he says somewhere around 477,000. Then we have Mike Novogratz. Mike Novogratz is the CEO of Galaxy Digital, a big digital asset management firm. He expects Bitcoin to go somewhere around 400K this bull market cycle. Willy Woo, another famous KOL influencer in the crypto space, believes it can go somewhere around 337K this bull market cycle. Glassnode, the on-chain analytics platform, believes it can go somewhere to 328K, and they are basically an analytics platform. They have the strongest analytics. They have a whole team monitoring the market. So yeah, Robert Kiyosaki from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, someone I really admire and look up to understand the world of investing, believes it can go somewhere around 300K. Alex Becker believes it can go around 300K. Tim Draper, famous venture capitalist, believes it can go somewhere around 250K. Who else? Max Keiser, which is the advisor to El Salvador, which helped El Salvador to basically create the Bitcoin strategic reserve, believes it can go to somewhere around 220K. Let's see who else. Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, which keeps up buying more and more Bitcoin, believes it can go somewhere between 150K to 200K. Again, very interesting. JP Morgan, which was one of the biggest critics of Bitcoin. Actually, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, called Bitcoin a fraud and a scam and a Ponzi scheme many different times. But right now, they believe it can go up to 146K this market cycle. Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, believes it can go somewhere around 100K per Bitcoin. We already crushed that. That's easy. So, all right, we're now at the end of this video. And what I wanted to give you in this video was many different perspectives of how you could approach this bull market cycle and what the price of Bitcoin could do. I believe there's still a lot more room to grow in this 2025 cycle. There's a lot of things aligning right now. I'm seeing the perfect setup for a great face-melting Bitcoin bull market in 2025. It's not going to be one straight line up. Of course, there's going to be massive corrections. And I do believe it's very important to keep an eye out on the market, to watch videos just like this one, to stay informed about everything that's happening so that you make the right decisions that can set you up for life-changing gains this bull market cycle. And if you enjoyed watching this video, if you got some good insights out of it, also make sure to smash the like button. That is good feedback for me, so I know that you at least got good value out of this video. And if you haven't done so yet, also make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be posting regular videos just like this one all out 2025 to make sure that you cross that finish line and to help you to achieve your goals as a crypto investor. That's my goal. I want to help as many of you to cross the finish line this bull market cycle. And I'm going to give you all of the knowledge, tools, and insights available to help you to achieve those goals. So if you enjoyed watching this video, then I'll see you in the next one. And peace out, take care, and enjoy the rest of your day.